أحد وأشهد أن حبيبنا محمد عبد الله ورسوله إمام الأنبياء والمرسلين أرسله تعالى بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على دين كله ولو كره المشركون. اللهم اجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك على محمد النبي وأزواجه أمهات المؤمنين وذرياته وأهل بيته كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وأما بعد، عباد الله، أوصيكم ونفسي المذنبة أولا بتقوى الله. اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. اتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون يا عباد الله. أيها الإخوة، اعلموا أن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله عز وجل، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. Dear beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, we would like to discuss today the Islamic obligation that we have as Muslims to make every society that we live in a more just and more wholesome society. This is something that is non-negotiable for us as Muslims. There is both a community obligation, what is called Fardun Kifaya, and is also an individual obligation upon every Muslim male and female who is mature, and this is called Fardun Ayn. This is what our scholars have said in terms of making our society a better, more wholesome place. And the term that we are given in the Aqidatul Islamiyya, or the phrase of this concept, is basically summed up in Al-Amru bil-Ma'ruf wa Nahi anil Munkar. It means to enjoin that which is good loosely and prevent that or forbid that which is evil. Loose translation. First in the Quran, this has been made a description of those who are the true followers of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Quran says kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nasi ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. This ayah is a description of what the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is supposed to be, supposed to live up to. You are the best nation evolved for mankind, for humankind. You are the best. You are the best for three reasons. First, you enjoin that what is ma'ruf, what is good. Then you forbid the munkar. Then you believe in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't make shirk. Then there's a description of the believers, how they're supposed to be amongst themselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ بَعْدُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْدٍ يَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَيُطِيعُونَ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ أُولَٰئِكَ سَيَرْحَمُهُمُ اللَّهُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. Second ayah, which is another description of what a believer is supposed to be. Believing men and believing women are maintainers and protectors of each other's interests. And what are the first two adjectives describing believers? They enjoin what is good and just and right in their society. They prohibit that which is evil and unjust in their society. Then they establish the prayers. Then they pay the zakat. And they obey Allah and His Messenger in the other matters. And those who do this will receive the immediate mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. Meaning in this dunya, siyarhamhumullah. Siyarhamhumullah. Not sawfa, siyarhamhumullah. Immediately in this dunya. Third is the command by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These first two, or these ayatain, are descriptions of who we're supposed to be. Then we have the ayah that is the command upon this ummah. وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Let there be among you an ummah that calls towards khair. That means it gives da'wah, that calls people to la ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah, and enjoins what is good and right in the society and prevents that which is evil and unjust in society. Those who do this are al-muflihun. These are the successful people. These are the people who will cultivate a good life for themselves for in the hereafter. Now, this is a community obligation. The community is made up of people, of individuals. It's not just something that's abstract. There has to be a group of people who are involved in this work. Ibn Taymiyyah, he says, or he has the opinion of al-amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. There are three components to this for individuals to be involved in this. The first is al-ilm. Second, wa-rifq, meaning a person who has leniency and tenderness. The first is knowledge. The second is leniency, tenderness. And the third is wa-sabr, and has patience. And has patience. First, al-ilm. Actually, the word mahruf in the Arabic language is related to the word arafa, which means he knows or he recognizes. Another word in the Arabic language for knowledge is ma'rifah. So we have to have ilm. We have to have basic knowledge of what is right and what is wrong. And who is the one who sets the criterion of what is right and wrong, or just or unjust? This is al-adl subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is God. The one who is the most just. The one al-adl who put everything in its proper places. He's the one who sets the criterion of what is right and what is wrong, firstly. And we understand this through the Quran and through the authentic speech of his last prophet, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So we have to have basic knowledge of this as Muslims. Otherwise, out of ignorance, we could enjoin that which is munkar and prevent that which is mahruf. If we don't have ilm, if we don't have knowledge or true understanding of what is good and what is bad, what is just and what is unjust in our society. There's a famous saying about this related to the fourth Khalifa, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, karramallahu ta'ala wajhu, when he said, "Aduun aqil khayrun min siddiqin jahil." The intelligent adversary at times is better than an ignorant ally or an ignorant friend. If you have an ignorant friend, he's jahil, he can begin to enjoin ma'ruf, or think that he's enjoining, or she's enjoining ma'ruf, but she could be enjoining munkar, or something that is bad or destructive or cause harm out of their own ignorance. There's a saying in American society about a fool. Ain't no fool like an old fool. When a person gets to be mature and they lack knowledge and can be very passionate, very convinced about doing something, and they can be enjoining something that is munkar. We see it right today in the state of Michigan in the politics, where people are trying to make things ma'ruf, they're in fact munkar. Where people are trying to normalize certain behaviors and lifestyles, and they talk about it as if it's good under the umbrella of justice or civil rights, when in fact it is of the munkarat. It's not good, it's antisocial. Because it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the primary one. He's the one who has the right to define what is just and what is unjust, because he is the one who is al-adl, who set the balance and set the scales of everything in the universe. To ignore the balance that he set, the definition that he set, is a type of istikbar, it's a type of arrogance. So we have to have ilm. The second thing is that we have to have rifq in regards to enjoining what is right and forbidding what is evil in our society. We have to have leniency or tenderness in doing it. The worst human being mentioned in the Quran who symbolizes the worst of the worst is Fir'aun. وَفِرْعَوْنَ ذِي الْأَوْتَادِ الَّذِينَ طَغَوْا فِي الْبِلَادِ فَأَكْثَرُوا فِيهَا الْفَسَادِ. He's the worst of the worst. He first said that he was a Rabb. He declared that he was a God, a Lord. What worse shirk than to proclaim yourself a Lord? This is Fir'aun. He was a Risari. He was a racist. He enslaved a group of people because they were outside of his ethnic group, his tribe, Bani Israel. Risari. He was a male chauvinist, a misogynist. One of the best four women was his wife Asiya, radiallahu anha. He tortured and killed his own wife. Enslaved people. Fir'aun is the worst of the worst zalim mentioned in the Quran. But even this zalim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Musa alayhi salam wa Harun alayhi salam to speak to him softly or come to him lenient at first. Even the worst of the worst, go to them, and when you try to enjoin to them what is right and what is just, still come to them rationally and come to them with good adab. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran. He said this. He said to Musa and Harun, فَقُولَ لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى. Harun, go to Fir'aun and speak to him layyina. Speak to him leniently and softly. Don't raise your voice. Don't yell at him. Speak to him leniently in order that he may remember or fear. This is how we enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong. There's a saying also in American society that you'll get more bees with honey than vinegar. Honey is sweet, asal is sweet. Vinegar is not. So how is our adab when we are trying to enjoin what is good and prevent that which is evil or unjust? It's very important. We have hadith mashhur about this also as an explanation. Some of the people of Al-Medina, some of the Jewish people in the Medina, they used to say, Ya Muhammad assam alayk. It means al maut alayk, or death be upon you. So they would say to our Prophet, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, death be upon you, Muhammad. One day he was walking with Mu'minin Aisha, and they said this, and Aisha said back to these Jewish people, and death be upon you in God's la'na, meaning his curse and his wrath. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم مهلا يا عائشة إن الله رفيق يحب رفق في أمر كله. Take it easy, Aisha. Chill out. Surely Allah is tender and he loves tenderness in every matter. So she wanted to know, what should I say back to them if they're saying this? He said back to Mu'mineen, if you have to say anything back, just say back to them, wa alaykum, basically back at you. If you have to say anything back. Now think about this. He was the political authority in Al-Medina. He could have had those Jewish people locked up. He could have had them beaten. He didn't do any retribution to them, even though they were saying to the Habibullah, they were saying to Habibullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, death be upon you. The third in this sequence, according to Ibn Taymiyyah, is as-sabr, patience. Al-Shafi'i, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, said that if people contemplate on one surah alone, it would be enough to guide them. And this surah in the Quran is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wal asri innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. So we have in this surah Iman. And then with Iman you have righteous actions. Al-Iman qawlun wal amal, what Shafi'i says. Real Iman is in speech and in deed, not just saying la ilaha illallah. It's firm in the heart, and your actions reflect that which is in the heart. You have Iman, Amal, then enjoining the truth, Al-Haq, truth. Al-Haq could also relate to Hukuk, rights. Enjoying what is truth, right, what is just. Then, وَتَوَاصَلْ بِالصَّبْرِ, and enjoying upon each other patience. Why? Because every single human being, male or female, who is in a society who stood up for justice and truth, all the prophets, all the awliyaullah, every single one of them faced resistance from the status quo and from those in authority. Every single one. They all faced resistance. Dawud alayhi salam and Jalut. El-Masih alayhi salam and the occupying Romans who illegally occupied Palestine. Ibrahim alayhi salam and Nimrud or Nimrod. Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and Abu Jahl and Abu Lahab and Umayyah bin Khalaf. Rasul Kufr. Umayyah bin Khalaf. All of these prophets face resistance. So we have to enjoin upon each other and keep patience, because we're going to have people who disagree with us. It could be the majority of the people. Look at Lut alayhi salam. He didn't give up forbidding the evil just because the majority of the public opinion polls were against Lut, against him. No. He stayed patient and preached for decades until Allah Azza wa Jalla commanded him to make hijrah. So we have to have patience so that we keep the course and we don't abandon the mission of what we're supposed to be doing as Muslims. This enjoining what is good and forbidding what is evil, we're supposed to do it for the benefit of all of the people, not just for the Muslims. There can't be justice, but justice just for us. That's not how justice works. Justice is not just us. Justice is for everybody. فَقَالَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَآلِهِ وَسَلَّمَ خَيْرُ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَعْرِفُ النَّاسِ. This is a hadith that gives an explanation to كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ. He says the best of the people are those people who benefit the people. And if there are people who are facing injustice, what better benefit can we do to the people? To first give them da'wah, even if they don't accept, irrespective if they accept, that we strive to establish freedom, justice, and equality in the land that we live in for all the people. Which means the mustad'afin, or the marginalized people, are those who are in most need of an advocate, of someone to stand up for them. Mazlumin, mustad'afin, oppressed, marginalized people. Quran talks about mustad'afin. These are marginalized people. These are people that people have sought to weaken their position in the society. It's literally what the mustad'afin really means in Arabic, because it was written the word da'if, which means weak. People have sought to weaken their position in the society. And we Muslims are supposed to be of those who stand for justice for all people. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make us of those who enjoin what is good and just. And may Allah Azza wa Jalla make us of those who forbid that and prohibit that which is antisocial and unjust. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وأما بعد. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, for those of you who do not know me, I'm the executive director of the Michigan chapter of CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations. And I've been allowed to speak to you today for besides giving the main subject of this khutbah, which is about enjoining what is right and forbidding what is evil in our society in Michigan and in America, I want to alert you about two things. Firstly is there's some scamming that's going on where people are faking like they are immigration officers, IRS officers, even some FBI, specifically to the Muslim community. And they're saying, oh, we're going to come. If you don't come back to us in 45 minutes, we know such and such about your family, and then maybe we're going to detain your family member, or we're going to detain you. This is scam. And they ask the people to contact them back and have a certain amount of money to basically pay as a fine or as a fee. This is a scam. If anyone comes to you and says they're from the FBI or immigration, you should ask for a business card and see their badge, and you contact CAIR Michigan's office immediately. But this has been going on from Flint to Dearborn, and maybe even here too. These are scams. So beware of the frauds and the scammers. Our opponents understand that we're under the microscope and that there are certain things going on against us, and they attempt to use these things to defraud Muslim men and women because of some anxieties that we have. The second thing is that the Michigan chapter of CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations, we have our annual fundraising banquet April 13th. I'm sure many of you know of all what we do as far as following lawsuits, standing up for the rights of Muslims, helping Syrians who have family members in Michigan getting asylum in America. All of these things that we do with a very modest budget with 4 staffers. And our work has impact in Michigan, and it has national impact. Freedom is not free, brothers and sisters. There's a price to pay. And CAIR Michigan is helping fulfill this fardun kifaya that I'm talking about, of standing up for freedom, justice, and equality to help defend the rights of Muslims. And this is our responsibility to do for ourselves firstly. We're not supposed to give our responsibilities over to other people for them to ensure they protect our rights. It's our primary responsibility. It's our responsibility. The Quran says it's our responsibility. So after Salatul Jum'ah, I will have tickets for sale, or I can tell you can go on our website, cairmichigan.org. But I'm asking you to please get a ticket. Livonia is not that far away. You can spend a nice Sunday. Our program starts at 1:30. Come for Salatul Dhuhr. You can combine your prayers with Asr. After the program's over, like around 4:30, go to Dearborn, the Masri Sweets, and have some kunafa or something. Make a day of it. But come down and support your community organization. This is your community organization. And if you don't support it, no one else will. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallamu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. Wa barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. كما صليت وباركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات ومسلمين والمسلمات. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم وأموات. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أصلح أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم فرج عن أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم ارحم أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحان ربك بعزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. أقيموا الصلاة.